In a Massachusetts town, a boy hides his face with bandages and dark glasses. He has a rare condition that causes people to die suddenly upon seeing his face. That's why today Deadly looks. This is the story of a teenager named Max Richardson who goes to therapy because of a strange birth problem and is able to kill those who see him. His parents realized their son was strange because at birth, the first to die were the doctors who delivered him. But to live a quieter life, the whole family moves to a small town in Massachusetts called Black, where little Max can go unnoticed. To stop the unexplained deaths, Max covers his face with bandages, dark glasses, and a cap, although this makes him a rather shy boy. During a visit to the doctor, he meets a girl named Alex, who suffers from a strange heart disease. But for now, it doesn't matter, and we'll talk about her again in a while. A little later, Dan, who is Max's best friend, and his parents try to set him up on some dates because it's Valentine's Day. For the bandaged boy who is housebound and friendless, this is extremely challenging. Dan sets up some blind dates with a girl named Erica. Everything goes poorly because she expected to have a date with Dan, but he leaves her alone with Max instead. Meanwhile, in the same restaurant are Valencia and Greg, who's like the town bully, having an argument, and she runs out of the place. But Greg teases Max about his bandages, and everything gets out of control when the restaurant manager has to step in during the fight. The failed date makes Max very sad, and he goes to a bridge to commit suicide. But that's exactly when Alex shows up again, because she tries to convince him not to do it, and ends up telling him that if he jumps, she'll do it too. Afterwards, they visit a nursing home where Alex is a frequent visitor and Esther resides. A novelist with more than 30 stories written, who is working on her most important book. It's not just an autobiography, but it tells what life is like for someone with Alzheimer's. To make sure Max doesn't get hurt, Alex accompanies him home and he invites her on a date the next day, but she says no. At night, Max tells his friend Dan everything that happened, and he convinces him to look for her again at the same bridge and persuade her to go for a walk together. So the next day he decides to go to the same place and meets Alec. And they decide to go together to a supermarket to buy a lot of gummies to fill a bathtub. And they talk about Max's strange condition, which apparently is that he has such an attractive face that he is able to kill everyone who sees him. However, Alex isn't too surprised, as the entire town is aware of this peculiar condition. There, she also tells him how many times she has been close to dying, because her heart is allergic to endorphins and swells with every emotion she feels, so she can't have too many emotions. And to control it, she carries a device with her that can measure her heart rate and the size of her heart. Alex takes Max to a rather strange movie theater where they haven't shown any new movies for 5 years, but they buy wine to entertain themselves. After the movie, they end up in Max's room, where there's a romantic scene, and she manages to take off his dark glasses and sees his eyes. But still, nothing happens to her. But everything is interrupted when the parents arrive with a strange surprise. It's about a Korean exchange student named Ju Shin, whose parents have sent her to the United States, but she doesn't want to be there. Welcome to your new home, Oh Juan Rio John Sean Lang Yu. The next day, Max and Alex return to the nursing home to visit Esther. Come on, Rosemary, an 82-year-old woman, sits alone at a table waiting for her son, who promised to bring a birthday cake to celebrate her special day. And even though she has been waiting for a while, everything indicates that this birthday will be as lonely as all the others. During this conversation, they realize the value of friendship. Despite being alone there, they have all become a very close family. But still, all of this doesn't matter much for now. What matters is that when Max returns home, he finds a surprise. Because his mother tells him that he has to take Yusheng camping along with Alex Dan and his new date. Everything goes well until Alex cuts his hand on a branch he finds in the forest. And to close the wound, Max takes off a piece of his bandages to stop the bleeding. But Alex realizes he can now see a small part of his face and nothing happened to him. During the night, the boys light a campfire and Max tells him the story of his childhood and how his first kiss happened. It was during first grade, and the girl promised not to look at Dan's face while they kissed. But out of curiosity, she opened her eyes to see the boy she was kissing. And as expected, the girl died as soon as she saw what he was hiding under the bandages. Through all this, Alex can feel his heart beating faster for Max. When she requests a kiss from him, she blindfolds herself to maintain control and avoid seeing him. In the end, he ends up giving her a kiss on the cheek. And when they return home, Max's mother asks them to take out the Christmas tree, but it ends up catching fire because of Shane, and both of them burn their hands and end up in the hospital. The nurse tells him that the cream will be enough for the burns. But there they run into Alex, who had told Max that he couldn't go with him because he had to stay at home, helping his mother with some things. To distract his mother, Alex pretends that Max is just a coworker at the nursing home, but they're not friends because they work opposite shifts. And faced with this strange behavior, Max tells his parents about his feelings while they go shopping at the supermarket. He ultimately advises him that communication is crucial and to talk to her soon. Then they meet again at the bridge where Max had tried to jump, and Alex explains to him that her mother doesn't let her have friends because she thinks it's too dangerous and too many emotions could affect her heart. He doesn't grasp it, believing that each medication is sufficient to maintain control. But Alex's mother has developed an anxiety disorder that keeps her alert to any change in her daughter's feelings. Later, they visit Esther at the nursing home, and they find out that Rosemary is very sick while she is kept alive artificially by the medical equipment she is connected to. And that's when Alex starts to have a nosebleed and leaves the room, so Max won't worry. But he catches up with her on the stairs, and they argue about euthanasia and how Max should help Rosemary rest. At first, our protagonist refuses to do it because he thinks his face is a curse and everyone ends up dying. But Alex convinces him that he should help Rosemary rest. He returns to the room where they ask if he wants to help her sleep, and she smiles. Max removes the bandages, and upon seeing his face, Rosemary dies instantly. After this, Alex disappears and doesn't answer Max's messages. He's kind of sad, not knowing what happened to her, but Dan manages to invite her to the spring dance on behalf of his friend, and she says yes. When they meet at Alex's house, they tell her the truth about her disappearance. Her dosage needs to be increased because her heart has grown. But so that Max doesn't feel guilty, she tells him that she doesn't want him to leave because she's afraid of being alone. In the bubble where she always lived, Max feels a bit guilty about her health. Although they agree to go to the dance and she shows up at his house, I'm not really sure why. Dressed as a maid, and he's wearing a dog mask. Alex gets swept up in the moment during the dance, and he and his partner end up embracing. But this causes Alex's heart to race excessively. She has to go to the bathroom due to another nosebleed. Meanwhile, Trihori, the bully who used to pick on Max because of his face, shows up and ends up taking off his mask. And Valencia, Dan's girlfriend, manages to see his face, so she ends up dying in a few seconds. That's when the police arrive and our protagonist has to go to prison. But before getting to the police car, he sees that there's an emergency ambulance where Alex is. After getting out of jail, he goes straight to see her and realizes that her heart is much worse, and she might not have much time left to live. But when he asks her about her medication, he realizes that it's just medicine for heartburn. He learns that Alex has stopped taking her medication because she wants to end her illness-related suffering. She tries to explain to him that since her childhood, she has been doomed to die at any moment. And that way of living taught her not to have any goals and to be indifferent to everything. But that changed when she met Max because she discovered her feelings when she met him. She knows that Max's condition does have a purpose and asks him to help her die. But he doesn't want to do it because he knows he will feel remorse if she dies after seeing him. When he gets home, Max starts hurting his face because he believes it's a curse to have such an attractive face that it can kill people. But his parents end up stopping him. Meanwhile, Alex tries to call him without getting any answer. And that's because Max doesn't feel ready to let her go. But Dan and Max meet at the school where there's a photo of Valencia to say a final goodbye. His friend advises that they should be together at the hospital when she passes away. He visits her at the hospital and realizes her condition has significantly worsened since his last visit. Meanwhile, she tells him that she's very tired trying to stay alive in a hospital bed. After all, he understood her suffering and that she will be better when she is freed from her pain. He asks her to close her eyes to show his face. After removing her bandages, she opens her eyes and they share a final kiss. She understands that Dan's face is not a misfortune and tells him that his face looks a lot like who he really is. After a few days, Alex dies and Max returns to the bridge where she rescued him and decides to go back to therapy to overcome her grief. But she realizes that they receive many letters from everywhere because the Valencia case became news. Some wrote to Dan out of curiosity about her face, while others sought his help, just as he assisted Alex. After all the suffering in her life, she understood that her face has a purpose, and it is to help end people's pain. Little by little, she is getting her life back and often goes to the nursing home to visit. Esther, who doesn't remember well what happened with Alex and always asks about her. Meanwhile, Dan has to tell her that she's busy with a lawsuit against Daniel Steele for plagiarism, which makes Esther feel very good. Anyway, Alex taught her that the real antidote to death is unconditional love. And those who love him without limits know that what's attractive about Max isn't his face. That's why he decided he can take off the bandages sometimes without his loved ones staring at his face. This ensures everyone's safety. Max's parents now have a more stable and close relationship, and everything in their lives is getting better little by little, thanks to therapy and the memory of Alex. So he has decided that he will try to live without the bandages on his face. This was Deadly Gazes. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the next videos.